Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Let's check the chat, shall we? Hello. Is the sound all right? Alright. Let's get going. Is the music too loud? No, this is not what we want. Right, let's get going. So, after yesterday's stream, we had some issues with the updraft not spawning properly if you spawn within the collision area. So, well, if you started the game, if you saved, let's say here, and you're supposed to spawn, you will be inside the collision area that will actually activate the particle system, and it will pause it when you leave. However, the problem was that for some reason the updraft blueprint spawned in before and didn't detect the player, causing the particle effects to be inactive when you spawn inside the area. So what I did to fix those was just creating a one-time firing event here. So on begin play, I just set a timer that waited for 4 seconds before it runs this event once, and just make one more check to see if the character is actually inside. So what happens now is that if we press play, they won't be active because the bug is sort of still there, but now we can manage it and set our own times, and now they're active. So that's a pretty simple temporary bug fix. I will adjust the time at a later point, but now we can do it through a variable instead. It's working fine for now. The other thing I added, which I thought I was gonna explain a little bit, inside this area now, I've added a weather box. So it should be this, hold on, weather activation, this blueprint. Okay, so I have a box here that is talking with I made a tiny system just to be able to quickly change the weather in different areas, such as snowy area, sandstorm, all that. So the way I did this is super simple, and anyone could could copy this real fast. So first of all, you just create a collision box in the blueprint. And on begin play, you do the same thing where you check for the player overlap. And then we get to the code, which is, this is the entire code base for the collision box. This part checks for the begin overlap, where if you begin the overlap, it will check if you're the character that overlapped. If you are the character, it will activate the weather. So how does it get the weather? Essentially what I do is, since I'm using the ALS system, it has its own blueprint for the camera. So I get the player camera manager here. But you could probably just get the player camera like this. And then add it. Or if you can't do that, you could get the actor location, or the world location like this, and then you could spawn the particles through that as well. If you're not using a blueprint as a camera and just using the character boom. So maybe I should explain that a bit. So in my main char, you would have a camera boom and a follow camera like this. And I'm not using this camera, but if you are using this camera, what you would like to do is to get this position. That way, that you could get it from the from the cast to the main character. You could get camera component, maybe here, the follow camera, get child component. And now we have the component in the main character, and then we could get actor, get world location. Now we get the camera location. So the reason why I want to get the location for the camera is to be able to spawn a single particle effect or two particle effects that I combine to create a specific weather. So how do I know which weather to activate and all that? I just made a text here, a name variable type that I expose. So when you look at the weather activation, you have the weather tag here, which adds the name, and the name I add in the collision box is also the name I use to know what particle effects I should activate. So in the camera component, I just add snow effects, dust effects, leaf effects, and I place them in different areas relative to the camera in an order that makes sense. So the dust particles are pretty big effects, so I use it on the camera position. Same with the snowy effects, but the leaves, I don't want the leaves to sort of spawn in the air just around you. I want them to fall, so that's why it's on the top right corner of the camera, and then they will sort of fly to the bottom left. So each one of these particle effects has a tag. So the tag is the name that we use for the collision box. So in this case it's the dust here. So the way it fires the specific particle effect is by getting the weather tag here. It grabs the snow, and then it gets in the player camera manager here, it gets component by tag, and then the component class is the particle systems. So any particle system with the name of the weather tag will activate, and that's what I do with the last node. And the same when we leave the area, it will check the particle, the same variable, so the name of the weather tag, and it will deactivate that particle system. This way, instead of spamming a lot of particle effects across a very large area, such as this, and maybe having 20, 30 particle effects running here and having to manually fix all the particle passing and the making them invisible and such. I just play a single one that follows you around. So let's see how it works when I play. So you can see the leaves are falling. And we have some dust flying around. Like this. So now I don't have to actually spawn 20 of these across a forest. I just have the one as long as I'm in the general forest area. And I could deactivate one specifically and such. For this forest area, I combined the two particles that have the same tag, so it fires both of them. So yeah, that's how it works, and as you see, it looks pretty good. Once the leaves have fallen as well, they're not sort of connected in a relative position compared to the camera. So if I spin around like this, I won't move the particle effect, which can look really weird if you try it, because you sort of can control the particle effect if it's stuck after you use it. And yeah, that's that. Let's see. Oh yeah, I had some collision issues that I fixed as well. But I don't think any of the issues remain. It was just the invisible collision boxes were essentially just crashing into one another and creating some weird behavior. I think that's it. I'm just going to see if we need some more butterfloops. And then we might actually start doing some other things. The Lorcan's Admiral, which has the butterflies. I want another pair of these here. Just so. And this area is supposed to be some sort of ramp down at a later point. I don't think I'll design this place now though, because this is not going to be a part of the demo. So this is just to create sort of a backdrop to the demo area. But as it stands now, this is going to be the complete area that we are actually going to include into the demo. Let's see. So there will be a tutorial temple that we actually have a gray box for right now. That should be out here. Yeah, there it is. So this is the gray box we have currently. The game is going to start by you walking into a cave. It caves in behind you, and then we have the whole thing where you go through and learn how to get past all the things and climbing and sliding, the wall running, the physics button interaction. All these things are going to be stuff that you find out about. Having some destructible meshes, locked door, opens with lever, and then you come out. And this exit from the cave here is actually going to be right over here. So let's see. So you'll come out just above this area, I think it's gonna be where you're able to exit, and you'll learn how to use the glider to go down, and you go through the initial quest stuff here. And you get to sort of learn how the world works, the crafting works, the questing works, and the bounty systems, all those things. So that's what's gonna happen around this area. And once you start to level up a bit and sort of learn the ropes, you'll be able to craft and upgrade your items. You'll walk through to this area. Sorry, I'm just trying to find all the butterflies and birds and things that need to be pulled down to the ground, like that. Alright, and once you cross this bridge, you will enter into more of a dangerous area. So the pine forest and the more rocky area will start here. And it will have the same kind of style as the things you see over here. And it will slowly transition into a snowy area here. And at this point, right after the bridge, you will start encountering wolves, bears, you will have some bandit camps, it will be a pine forest, a lot more rocky, stony area. And then you have the first sort of larger camp here, where you would most likely have some sort of quest. Then you go to the actual transitional area here, where you go into the snowy areas. Here we use the weather activation system as well, and it's going to provide you with like not a snowstorm but some snow. Then you have a wolf den, some hidden treasures, and the first world shrine is here. So the way this works is that you go into this area, some music and a short animation sequence will start and show you what sort of the points of interest inside the world shrine. So every world shrine will have one of these bubbles and a soul fragment that you want to get. These are used to upgrade the best equipment and upgrade your special abilities. You have to solve the puzzle or the challenge to get one of those. So, for example, here you have a lever that will open this thing, and then inside here you have a puzzle to solve. And if you solve it within the time limit, this will be yours. If not, it's going to be destroyed automatically. Moving on, we have we keep exploring deeper into the area, and we start to see the remnants of the fallen dwarven nation, and this is pretty much the theme of the demo, where you get to explore all these things. I'm not gonna stop too much here. There's a bunch of things that you can explore. It's built pretty linear for you to be able to sort of experience the game in a good way. And the further in you get, the more corrupted area is, due to the bad guys taking over the area. And you end up standing in front of this fortress, which is sort of an ancient dwarven fortress thingy. And truly inspired by World of Warcraft, we have the same kind of entrance. So this will actually teleport you right now to the Temple of Ikvos, which is the bad guy of the demo, the first big boss, which is one of the big 3 bosses we have planned for the game, and the last guy, of course. So what will happen is that we will move you over to the temple. And So this is where you will end up. Oh, that's expensive. Okay, cool. So yeah, so once you walk into the teleport area, you will end up here, and you will have the. Oh, I should probably fix this. Like so. Just me removing all these. Perfect. All right, so this is where it's sort of the first temple begins, which is about an hour and a half long of gameplay time. So you have to clear a bunch of obstacles. You walk up here. This once if when you start the game in here, it will turn way darker and the fog will appear and such. But to be able to work on this, we can't have the post processing and all those things activated in the editor. Um, and you have to sort of solve all the puzzles to proceed. So it's like a giant escape room essentially. Um, so you walk through all the triggers. You have to climb up the wall. Have to pass all the challenges. Like so. Take the elevator up. You walk into the laser room, which is pretty much you have to direct a bunch of lasers into the boxes. And to get the things you redirect the lasers, you have to solve puzzles all the way up here. And once that's done, this door will open. You can start progressing further into the temple. And on we go. Yeah. So we have a bunch of voice lines triggering along the way just to sort of give you some short snips of story. But we're not gonna sort of spell everything out because it's just not our strength, and it takes a lot of time and money to have voice actors reading all those things, and you have to add like another layer of work, and that kind of thing is far from what I do well. And then we progress into this area. There are more enemies. We have the elevator taking you down to the cave exit here, and you come out to the final part of the temple. So this is where the boss has settled down while he was corrupt in the dwarven area. So this is the same. You have some optional things here. You don't have to do it. You can, if you figure out how to stop this one from killing you if you walk into it. You can walk immediately into that area. If you want, you could go in here and kill the wizard and pull the lever. And you will be able to visit this area and get a bunch of really good high level rewards. Among a bunch of fire berries that you use to create explosive arrows. And then you walk through here. Boss guy is gonna tell you boss stuff. And then you meet the big bad. And the boss fight starts. And the boss fight is between 5 and 10 minutes depending on how you play it. Hard mode is more close to 10 minutes. And the easy mode will take a few minutes because you can kill the masks to take a chunk, like 10% of the HP from the boss. So they respawn every minute or so. So you could take down 30% health every minute, pretty much. I mean, you have to to take maybe 4 or 5 minutes if you account for downtime before you can kill him. And once that's done, you will have the let's see. You'll have the teleport spawned in, and you will be teleported into this circle here, and you can continue with your life. So that's what we have for the demo right now. Anyway, so I have to fix I have the world music thing, which is kind of backwards. Um, I shouldn't have a fallback music area. I should have a fallback ambient area, I think, that covers everything pretty much. So the reason I want to have that is to always have the combat music available if you get into combat. But I also would like to have a fallback ambient sound rather than fallback music, because the music gets too repetitive if it's always playing. So I'd rather have longer stretches of silence with ambient noises such as birds or something like that, and then add the music in specific areas. So what I will do now is probably just look for the no morning. Yeah, this is the one. I wanna use that one for now. See if we can. Right, let's see how this is. So now when we spawn into any part of the world, I won't get the music anymore, and then we'll manually add the music areas instead. So it runs by a prioritization system. Yeah, this is better, I think. Just having a bit of appreciation for all the sound that you find in the world.
It must be my lucky day.
No.
That's a treasure chest.
Alright, so I think this is better. Yeah, this is definitely better. Should there be a collision on the bushes here? It looks kind of weird because they look kind of thin, right? And you're also in there. quite a bit. But I kind of like that you can't walk through them. But maybe I should remove the collision entirely. I don't know. What do you think? Hmm. No, I think I'm gonna remove it. I want the collision there actually. Like so. We'll try it again. Yeah, I think this is more natural. Yeah, that's cool. Great though. Let's remove these. Remove that one. The weather activation. We don't need you anymore. Save all. Alright, so what I would like to do now is to add another box of I would like to add another box of music for music here. Oh, so local music prior to. So I had one of these placed before that I just remembered that I want to add over at the starting area as well. So I just copy this and I'm going to drag it all the way over there. And this is the same music box as the large one. However, inside the blueprint, there's a priority setting that you can change, and the higher this, uh, the higher priority it has. So it always overrides anything previously that you might have had. Meaning, I could and I will check if I want both ambience and music or just the music inside this box and where to put it. So I have to figure out exactly what I want to do with it. But the general idea is to have maybe the village area play some music like so, and then we can test it from here. And I think this will be without the ambience now, and just the same combat music, but with an actual track running. So we should be able to hear a crossfade once we get closer to the area. Oh yeah, of course. Somewhere around here maybe. Yeah, I think the sound ambience now faded out, and this is a track that takes a long time before it starts. Yeah, I think this is actually this is good. I think. I'm silent because I'm trying to get a feel for the experience. Where did you go, buddy? Oh no. They aren't actually gonna have ragdoll pretty soon. So, okay, so they're going to have a pushback instead of a knock ragdoll. So that will first of all solve that issue that you just noticed.
Look, a treasure chest.
And when we leave the area again, it's gonna fade into the ambient. It was a bit fast, I think. I think it was a bit
It must be my
too quick. Shouldn't be that fast, I think. Town starting area. Priority 2. The crossfade should not be as fast as that. Delayed fade duration. For how long should music fade? Let's try maybe 5 seconds or something. Just so it's not too noticeable. Let's have a go then. No, I think that's good. Now we just have to fix the fade in area. So that's from the world music box. Let's just try for maybe 3 seconds or so. See what happens. Alright, perfect. So the border is here. So what we could do is just spawn along this area. So we don't get any combat to distract us. Whoops, that doesn't look so good. Alright, so let's wait for the music to start. Once we hear the first note, yeah, that's it. Let's wait for the actual music to experience the full thing. Alright. And we should start fading it pretty immediately. Yeah. Can hear the volume being reduced now. That was way smoother than before. I wonder if the world music area, the local music area, what is it called? Prio 2 maybe? Local music prio here, so local music priority 2, local town music, like so. Let's save that because it's gonna reset once we... Okay, so it's somewhere exactly on the border there. Okay, perfect. That is the one. Local town music priority. So the reason why I write the priority in the titles of the actors is to be able to search for them in the hierarchy on the world outliner to the left here. So if I want to look for something, like the higher the priority is, the that decides which thing is going to be played. So if something doesn't play properly, and I know it's priority 2, I could just search for everything that has priority 3 and see if it overlaps or if it sort of swallows up a smaller music box or something like that. Because when you work on a giant world like this, it's going to happen at some point, and it will help me sort of solving things in the future without having to look through too much. Alright, I should probably fix that as well. Let's see, start. Like so. Let's lift it up a little bit and then play again. Adding starting town music and some other stuff. Alright. So we have the music. Now we're gonna listen once more to the fading and decide if we have to prolong the fade duration or if it's fine as is. I actually think that I want a longer duration for the world music. If it happens too quickly, I'm just trying to imagine the way if you play and you're on an adventure in the world and you just finished doing something, it should take longer for whatever sound you want to play to sort of start, so you get to reset the sort of the mindset you have. If you exit if you just went out from, let's say, a cave or some combat or something like that, you most likely want to not notice when the transition happens, as to not break immersion. It's nice with a 8-second fade. The music will disappear and then Okay, let's see how the combat works. Talking with some... I think that's actually really good. I really like that. I think I fixed all the stuff hanging in the air. Perfect. So now when we enter the area here, we will have some beautiful music playing. And it's for this area, yeah. I think this is really good. Should we move on? Feels weird. Probably should move on. I think we're ready. I wanna check one last thing though. Yeah. That's not great. So we have one last thing that we should try to tackle, which is this thing here. And we want to get the full parent thingy and just add one of these. Set timer by event. Just do one of the day. Just in case we actually spawn inside this area, we want to create a quick solution for this. I'm going to go back to all parent blueprints at some point and actually fix this. But for now this works just fine. Check for player spawn inside. Like so. And we'll run it just once. It is to check if we spawned inside the area. So now we're going to spawn at the same place, but this time the birds are going to work. Absolutely perfect. Man, how do I get up there? I'm gonna go get some more water. I got some water. Alright, let's see. I got my water. I'm ready to go. So, we are currently doing what? We finished the music, we fixed the birds so they aren't bugged anymore. That's good. They seem to be just doing their thing, working well. The collision is fixed. Yeah, they are doing what they're supposed to do. Let's check the bandit camp and just look for if we can find any butterflies that are still in the air. We had a bunch of butterflies earlier stuck in the air due to some incorrectly set up collision profiles. So they're fixed now, but we have to manually fix any sort of, if we have any meshes hovering in the air, we have to move them down. And the weather activation seems to be working just fine. I don't see any... No. Nuh-uh. I don't see any issues here. Alright, I think we're actually ready to move on to the final part of the map that we are supposed to include in the demo. So I'm just gonna beat this this guy up quick. We can move over there. think all these things still work as they should. Maybe reduce the physical effect a bit, but apart from that, I think we're good. Yeah, alright, cool. Hold on. Yeah, these are scaled incorrectly, so I'm gonna fix them. Just the last spawned area here. Then we go to the final house over here. I don't see any meshes in the air, so I think we're actually good. Yeah, cool. Let's fix the scaling issue then. Should be real fast. So we have them here. I'm using for the world borders here and the tree placement and the cliffs you see here. I'm using something called Pro Instance Tool, which is an asset you can get on the Unreal Marketplace. It's perfect to make very sort of efficient, optimized spamming of meshes, if you will, and also sort of place things in a good way. You have a lot of control on everything between spawn chance, the length, that you want to take up with each thing you spawn, the scaling, the amount of instances you want to spawn. You have the instance static meshes you can activate. Like in this case, I just added a forest by making a path and scattered the trees along the path and added a offset to them, creating a more natural looking sort of forest area. I use it for all. You can place actors as well, so blueprints and such. So I use this to place things quickly in the world without having it to be too symmetric or too clustered. So I can really recommend that tool, Pro Instance. And yeah, I use it to create the world borders of this area as well. Anyway, back to the scaling. So that's what I use to create this spawning, the nodes that you can farm across the world. I'm using this tool for that as well. So we have the like so, and I think that's it. Let's save it and move on. So for this area, I think I'm going to create a new level maybe. I'm not sure. So it could be good to include it in the starting area as well, because it won't break immersion and you won't have to tweak the spawn range for the level. However, it will be more objects including in the starting area. I think maybe I need to think about this for a moment. Actually, I'm gonna start building it from the current point of view, I think, using the starting zone, and I'll just move the meshes at a later point if I need to change it. So what we want to do here, I figured we want to maybe change into some music, because this is not an area you won't have had any music for quite a while, since the last music box was all the way over in the starting town, and here you will have some ambient music. You have the birds singing in the background only, but once you cross this bridge, it could be a good place to actually change up the theme a bit, I think, maybe. So this is where the pine forest area would start. And my initial thought is that walking into that you might want to have sort of a Mirkwood kind of vibe, or maybe some northern style music. Heavy on the war drums maybe, I don't know. Something along those lines. And we should probably have some cliffs zoning off this area, I think. So if you look at it from this part of... Yeah, so you have a pretty huge piece here that you could block off and give it some verticality, I suppose, instead of always being on the highest point in the area, looking down on the things around you. If we break it off, having and make some sort of mountain-like thing here, it could actually create some interesting things to build around. I also think we should keep the player not. We should keep him away from the border as much as possible, so we would most likely center the area that you walk on, and then we can hide some extra treasures on the sides as well, I suppose. But we most likely wouldn't want to build more than maybe at the crossroads here. Build one point of interest. Here we would have the verticality added here, and then any points of interest would be built along the sides to keep sort of the flow, focus on the road. So let's just start outlining some things so I remember. Get a cube. We need a big cube, 150. That's way too big. 100. 25. 25. Rock. Nope. Like so. Yeah, we don't have to have that kind of increase either. So maybe should probably do something like this. Lower it a bit, then create another one. Lift it up a bit just to create some difference in altitude. Then another, and that's the final piece. Just to get, this is obviously just some stupid thing, but to get a general sense of what a bunch of cliffs would add here, I suppose. And we're going to use this kind of mesh to have it blend in and make it look more natural. So yeah, I think actually this this would break it off nicely here and make it look not sort of the same. And we could make something interesting around that. Like so. Yeah, that's good. And then I would like to add some sort of interesting thing here. For two reasons. I would like to break off the line of sight a bit. And the other thing would be to sort of increase the impact of the choice of road here. It doesn't really matter, but one part will move you further into the world, and the other one will be more part of the demo area. So the demo area will be across this path, and everything over there is already completed, so they're just not loaded in right now. So what would happen here is maybe an enemy camp or something like that, or a spawned in ambush. So let's say we do something like this. So the idea would be that we create a bunch of smaller props around the big pieces here, and maybe make an artificial bottleneck. So you would walk in to something like this, maybe like that, and when you walk in here, you'd have a trigger box, and when you walk into the trigger box, you'd have the destructible components, like a fence, a breakable fence, moving upwards from the ground, just blocking off all the roads, both back and forward. And then you'd have a bunch of bandits spawn in. You can kill those, and then unlock a treasure chest. That, I guess, would be the general idea anyway. And once everyone is dead, you could loot it and then move on. But you'd have something that happens and sort of increase the interactivity in this part of the world, I suppose. And apart from that, maybe a hidden bandit cave like that, hidden in the pine forest. That would also sort of tie together all the areas like over here where you also will be able to find bandits, and the same as this thing here. I think that would be the easiest way to do something and feel like the world is interactable or dynamic. Because I got some feedback that we should add more sort of level sequences, cinematics, but I, I'm not convinced that's the best way to go about it, because you might be breaking up the momentum the player might have, meaning you'd have to stop every other minute just to watch some very low quality sequence, interrupting your gameplay flow, and I don't think that's the way to do it, to be perfectly honest. I think maybe something along these lines could be interesting. And this area is a bit flat, so maybe from these mountains here we should try to, I should probably save this first. Maybe from these mountains we should start trying to create a little bit more verticality in the landscape as well. So let's just grab a piece here, maybe around there. Yeah, that sounds good. Then we want to flatten the area, I think. Yeah. then just do this. I want to be careful so I don't clip through the outer border. And the mountain here will be higher up than the cliff side than this part. Just to hide the higher landscape over here, and two would be to sort of zone off this area from this. Would be the general idea. Anyway, let's continue. Like so, and then now we have to adjust a little bit here. Don't want to flatten it in the other way around. Get it smaller. Like that. And then smooth it out. We'll see what we will end up with. Like so. And I think, yeah, we don't have to do this because it will be hidden. And we don't have any stupid clipping going on. Whenever we start working with swimming, we will also remove this entire plane of water and actually add something we can interact with. Yeah, this is great. So I start to see what we might want to do here, actually, and I think it might turn out pretty good. So let's just keep working on the verticality a bit. Just a tiny bit like that, and smooth it out. Something like that. I think this will really make you feel like you walk into a denser forest area. This is supposed to be pretty flat already, with an open landscape, a lot of open area that where you can see far away, and sort of this kind of view here is supposed to be make you feel like there's a large world out there, and you're just it's just waiting for you to explore. Since you'll come out here from the tutorial temple, this is the first area you will be in, and it will give you a view of how large the world actually is before you start moving on. But we don't want to keep everything open all the time. One, for performance reasons, and we can use more aggressive culling distances if we block off the vision like this, but also have you feel like you're going deeper inside the world. And exploration is more interesting if you can't see everything from the point where you're currently standing. So I think we should probably increase the size on the other side as well, or the height on the other side as well. So let's start by sculpting it up a bit. We want to have the highest point maybe around there. We don't want the player to be able to climb up, but I think we should be good if we do it like this. Smooth it down here, so this will work as a ramp later. So I think we're gonna have to try this out. Because it looks kind of... I need to check the scale real quick. So this might actually be a little bit too high up. Because the player will be able to break the world barrier. So let's add it to... change it to a little bit less than half maybe. Around there. Yeah, and this is not gonna be an issue for the world border. Great. So increase the radius quite a bit, maybe 3,500. And then we just add some height. Like so. And from this point I think this would be fine. So let's not add any more here. And then this is already about the height we used, so here we can increase it a little bit. Whoops, a little bit further. Maybe, no, I think that's still too high. Let's see. We can. Oh, that was quick. Yeah, that's probably it. So let's use the flatten tool. Just to create a general shape. Like so. And then we want to add something here as well, just to create some more like that maybe. So let's start smoothing the area out soon. And the stupid looking borders here and the hills will pretty soon look alright. So I think that is way more interesting. So once we start smoothing this out and start dressing the area, it will be pretty good. Something like so. And then we're going to go down to the ground level and check it out. Just to get a sense of what we're working with here. So remember, the idea is that we want to break off the line of sight so we can be more aggressive with the distance culling in the future when we are focusing more on the optimization, and also create some variety in the environment, and also having the player not seeing the entire world at all times, because that will actually make the world feel even larger than it actually is. So let's start from here then. Just walk around real quick. It's still completely empty, so it's not going to be that interesting of a thing to look at, but I think we have something to start working with here at least. So the hill over there is what I wanted to dress up that area with quite dense forest, or like a dense, a high amount of trees, and packed them pretty densely there, um, just to block it off. But I'm not sure if I want to add too much, too many sort of cliffy or mountainous pieces to just block off, because if I don't do that well enough, it's going to look super stupid. Um, because I need to pay attention and make details around it, because if you just add like very large props and chunk it down like this, it's gonna look dumb. Um, so I have everything I add that is this large, I need to work a lot around it, add smaller props to sort of create something around it as well, or it will look very out of place. I think this needs a little bit more work. Might want to have maybe another cliff piece here and here, but not more than that, I think. And then we have the dense areas of pine trees over here, 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 and here. And then we start adding the ambush points, the points of interest, the hidden treasures, and maybe we should add a some puzzle as well. Just add something else, except like we're already gonna have enemy spawners, we're gonna have the mineable things, we're gonna have the ambush with the destructible objects triggered, but I think we should hide some sort of puzzle here as well. Yeah, I'm going to, just so I remember it, I'm just going to do copy one of the cliffs here. So what I usually do is to any puzzle or world shrine or something like that, uh, always get a red material, and I place it at some area that I might want to look into. So I think maybe here would be good, or here could be cool. What if you had a visible... We have this system where we use lasers, and it would be cool if you could direct it to something far away over here. But we would have to make it quite obvious from this. I'll look into that at a later point, I think. But for now, I should probably add the last two pieces of large props then. Like so. And like so. Is this close enough? Do you want to get it closer? I think we can go closer with the cliff. Let's have her look this way. Was odd. Right. Let's have a look. So I'm gonna smooth out this area a little bit. Yeah, I think this looks pretty okay. I might have to tweak a few things that I see here now, but I think it's good enough to sort of start adding a small amount of props. But first I'm just gonna smooth out some areas. Just a smidge. Just a little bit. This is completely fine. I think that's good. Yeah. Alright. Let's bring one of the scatter tools I was talking about earlier. Did I use those here? No, these are painted. I want to use path scatter maybe? Not sure if I want to use a path scatter for. Screw it. It's just to try it out. So why not? We want to change these to pine trees. All right, I already have one of those, so let's copy those instead. This one. Let's go. All right. So the first thing I want to do is to change the spline as I added it as a part of the other area. Remove the spline points. And I only do this because I don't want to set up to change all the settings from the default again. So instead I think this is faster. Great, so when I move this one now it's gonna disappear. And all the instances are gonna gather in the same place. And this is obviously not how we want it, so I should move them around a little bit like this and then increase the path that I want to place them on. So let's bring that one a bit closer and create more path, more spline points like that, and then create the path like that. And now we should correct the areas that don't want to spawn by lifting them up. Actually, I think the fastest way would probably be to move the entire actor up like that and then go to the individual points. So now when I'm going to move this up a tiny bit, since it's collided with the terrain now, the landscape, when I move it, yeah, exactly. So just as I moved it, it will update and place the trees like this. So the next part would be to increase the instances, maybe to 150. It might be a bit too dense, actually. I'm going to reduce the number a little bit. And I am going to fix this spline point and then start adding an offset to the trees. So in this case we're using the global settings, it would seem. Maybe? No, okay, so we have a bunch of offsets here. So we have a rotation range max here. It can the lowest amount is 0, the highest amount is 360, so it can randomize any degree of rotation on the Z axis. And for the location and not the rotation, we want to increase it a bunch. So let's just take a high number to really create a spread. So now it's just about finding the right amount of spread slash density, the amount of trees instances you want. And I want that one. Maybe something like that. We can set it to -4.8. And if we have an area that we have to have more detailed control, I would never use this because it's simply it's a tool to quickly dress a large area rather than something else. It's not to sort of you won't plop this down in a level and just call it done, because it's not gonna be good enough. But what it is good for is to quickly get a general feeling for if something works or not. And it is also good for dressing a large area with props that you will be reusing a lot. For example, outside this area, if I load in the levels here, there's going to be trees with an offset outwards from the mountain, just to have the foot of the mountain sort of obfuscated, so you won't see the lines as clearly. And I guess the same goes for this general area. And I also want to try this scatter tool, just to see if we can get some interesting results with it. Alright, so we have them at the right height. I also should add another tree, I think, just to get a little bit of variation. But as long as we we alternate the scale and rotation, we can get pretty far with the same trees over and over. I think for the 800, yeah, and then reduce the trees somewhat, maybe 80 instances, thin it out a bit, and then we're going to want to do that. Now I'm not completely happy with this just yet, so I'm gonna add some more spline points. Whoops. I'm just going to fix that real quick, like so, and then bring you back to the ground and have some tree spawn again. I'm not perfectly happy with this due to obvious reasons, but this is what we can pretty easily tweak, I think, with a few changes in the settings. And one thing we can do is to add the spline points to the foot of the mountain and just remove the offset completely in one direction. So the question is, which direction would that be? I think it might be the y-axis, but let's have a look in a second. So we have a bunch of force there. Oh, we actually do have two different trees already. So let's remove the 4800 units offset in the negative direction, whichever that is. Okay, so that seemed to be in that direction, which is not the relevant part for us. Okay, so we want it to have a higher negative value, so I'll start from 0, which is the spline point on the Y, and then the negative offset is the highest position. So between 0 and the negative offset, so you see the green arrow, the backwards part, so you go in the other direction, 1500 units, that's the maximum offset. So let's try see what happens if we set it to maybe 3500 and we get a forest climb down from the top here. So I think that's way reasonable, way more reasonable. So now we might want to just, since we're using the zero offset, we want to put it as close to the foot of the future mountain as possible, like so. And then once this is done, we can just have a look and see if it's going to be worth it for us to change the number of instances as well. So I think this one is actually, I'm gonna add another one here, like that. Okay, so we have still one on the bends. We have some annoying offsets. So we have, that's probably going to fix yeah. So the thing is, it has the sort of the world location or the direction, not the relative one. So we have to fix all the offsets, not just the Y. So the X one would fix that, and then we can increase this one quite a bit since it got a little bit too dense, I think. And that should be it. I think that looks fine, right? Yeah, and then we can remove this piece as well, I think. See how it turns out. Yeah, this looks good. Um, so now when we have this, I would either start working on the actual mountains for the outline, or I would do some additional fixes for the trees, like you have a big empty area here, so you might want to have something interesting like a terrace or something. Um, Pretty much any idea goes at this point, I think. So let's try some things out. I'm going to paint it to remember that I want to do something that might be a bit more interesting. So first iteration, I'm just gonna basically put out a blob of color here. We could make like a small observation tower area and have an actual enemy camp there, a bandit camp. And then we could have either a barricade around it and a treasure chest, or that you could destroy, or we could have a unbreakable barrier and open it up with a puzzle, or find a hidden lever or something like that. Or you could climb your way up in the mountains or a large rock and glide in, and then you could climb out through some general prop placement, I suppose. That could be something. Yeah, maybe. I'm gonna think about it. I'm just going to quickly write it down on my to-do list. Let's see here. Brainstorm. Ideas for watchtower area. Bandit pine forest. Brainstorm ideas for puzzle. So I don't know if I'm actually talking to someone, but over here I'm going to add some sort of puzzle, I think. Some sort of mechanic that would be a little bit more challenging. So it's just not running around farming and fighting stuff all the time. I want to break off the pace sometimes, make some sort of change into the style of playing. We do it through a bunch of different things. We have the quests, of course, the combat, the mining, but we also have like world clues that are riddles and things that hint you towards different places in the world where you have to solve riddles without the assistance of the UI, for example. At the red cube. Alright. This is just so I won't forget. Sometimes when I work on these kind of things, I usually work from Trello, but that's more when I program stuff. Now when I just place things, I like to have just a notepad to do things fast. So this is not going to be an issue with the terrain, since once we add the actual mountains here, it's going to be fixed just by the static mesh that will be added there. But since I am a crazy person, I'm gonna do this now anyway. Like that. And I think looking from here, we could make a ramp down, but we could also make something to close it off completely. I'm not sure I like that idea right now, but I will think about it a little bit. Maybe a small opening. Something like that, maybe. I think, yeah, it might be something missing here. Maybe. Well, I actually think this is starting to shape up a bit now. I'm getting a better idea of what I want to do with it. And the thing is, we don't want to transition into like this very leafy kind of tree area into a winter landscape too quickly. So this would amount for maybe 10 minutes of just running, and in a game world that's quite a lot, especially if you're distracted by things going on all the time. So I think this transition is not too fast, pretty much. So I'm pretty happy with the current area that we're outlining right now. Need to remember to save. Alright, so what will be next then? A little bit more of the tree thingy here. I should probably also flatten the area a little bit more. So let's do that first. Where did that tree branch go? Over there. Hello, buddy. And then just smooth it out a little bit. I think maybe we don't have to do it actually. So either we have it going lower when we get closer to the exit, or we make like this epic exit slash entrance, but I don't think this area deserves that, so I am gonna do it this way. Cool. So this is gonna take quite a while to actually make the mountains look decent, but the general outline is definitely there. Yeah, this is no longer showing you everything. So let's try to play from here.
That's enough talking. Go about your business.
Just thinking if I see something that looks stupid, apart from the random material on the giant cubes, of course.
Look, a treasure chest.
Oh, right. We don't have any way to bug ourselves up here, I don't think. No. And I have to fix the collision profile on these, clearly. But that shouldn't be too much of an issue. So I'm not worried about that right now. Maybe. Yeah, so that's... This is also new. If I'm wall running, I made some changes to the paraglider, so if I'm wall running, apparently I count as in air. So I have to make another check on the paraglider if to see if I'm wall running or not. Or else we're gonna hear the annoying deploy sound every time we do anything like this. Sounds stupid. No, I think this is pretty good actually. Pretty happy with it for a really, really, really rough first draft. So let's change these real quick. So I have to change the instance. I'm gonna set these two non-climbable for now. I don't think we're using them for anything else but world borders, so you shouldn't be able to climb them anyway. But if I am using them in the future, I'm going to have to actually fix it long term. Climbable. Like so. And the first issue should be fixed. I should no longer be able to climb the stupid world border. And you still can. Amazing. Why can I still climb you? No, I can't use that. I tried to check if I could use the simple collision, but I don't want to manually fix the collision area. So the complex one it is. Let's have another go then, shall we? Oh, yeah, okay, so now it seems like it's not working. It's really odd though. Oh, I'm gonna look into that later. For now I'm going to see the paraglider. No, actually the main character. Oh, so this is just the... Here we have the toggle glide. So what I want to check for is the wall running. And it's inherited. So I might have, yeah, added it here. Okay, so the dynamic wall run component might have a variable I can use. Get wall run component. So if I open it up, I should be able to find a variable. Is wall running. Perfect. So I want to grab the component to get a hold of this one that starts detecting the wall run. So if wall running is true, I'm not going to be able to deploy the paraglider, is the idea. So let's move this one back, grab this. Is wall running branch, and then if it's true, we don't do anything. If it's false, we move on. And that should fix the paragliding sound, hopefully. So I'm gonna give it a try now. And see if I'm still able to deploy the paraglider while wall running, or rather that if while I'm wall running I shouldn't deploy the paraglider instantly, because it detects if I'm in the air or not, but it doesn't care if I'm wall running, and that's the reason for me not being on the ground. So I want to add a sort of a catch-all solution for it. Just check in for the variable that decides if I'm supposed to detect walls and such. So now I can still deploy the paraglider, but it won't deploy on the first click when I... Yeah, I have to fix that. Holy crap, that's annoying. But now it's no longer trying to deploy when I press space while wall running, so I have to actually jump off the wall before it's deploying. Perfect. It seems to be working well, so I'm gonna move on from this. Or actually, I'm gonna turn off the stream now. Push some changes and write some updates to the documentation real quick. So I guess this is where we end it today, or for now, rather. Oh, it looks like there's actually people in the stream. Way. I hope you had a good time. So I guess I'm gonna save here, and if anyone was here in the beginning of the stream when I was talking about the weather activation blueprint, if you want a weather system, if you will, made completely in blueprints, just let me know. I'm thinking about just uploading it to the Discord server for any developers who are working in Unreal Engine. It's a pretty simple way to run a few particle effects instead of having to spam a large area, just to get the atmosphere right. So if you rewind the stream to the beginning, you can see the explanation, or you can hear the explanation of how it works. Yeah. Anyway, ending it now.